went into building the goals of the project, and talk to me about what that experience was and what you took away from
First, you had to define it, what the goals were. So I think that's always helpful to just be put on the spot and say, what are the goals of this project? What are we doing? Because that's often something that happens at the very beginning of a project. And as it drags on for weeks or sometimes months, sometimes quarters, you get into it more and you can forget the original reasoning why lose the forest to the trees type of thing. So I think that was one. And then it was really challenging and kind of felt weird for you to be like, make the goals of this project into a visual representation or a built representation of, what it would, what it would look like, what it would be like. And I think again, it just came down to, okay, if I can't use my words and I have to use Legos to describe what I'm looking for, what are the elements that I'm looking for? How would I do that? And breaking down the constructs of the needs of the project into just this very simple output of, these different Lego pieces. Um, made me break down the challenges, the outcomes, all that stuff in a much more simple way as well, because I needed to use Legos to convey that out in some sort of way. Like we definitely described why we were doing, which is a lot of what the post-it notes are too, is describing what this looked like in our thought process. But the piece itself was the conversation starter and had to make some sort of sense. You couldn't just make anything and not have it make sense.
Yeah. So yeah, you folks each built, everyone had a different piece of the rubric, which were the goals. If each piece was to go strong, what would that look like? And I'm sure you've heard, I think someone even brought it up in the meeting. There's that old, like, explain it to me like I'm six. Well, this is the explain it to me, but with Lego.
Yep.
And what does each piece, and then we put them all together here. And so just remind me what there was a divide here that we got to where that Lego minifigure and their wand, there was a fork that this build actually brought up an epiphany. Going
Yeah.
to the right was like an easier direction, going to the left was harder, but really important.
Yeah. So for us, a lot of it is, HubSpot, and, anybody listening at HubSpot knows this, but anybody who's listening from outside of HubSpot, puts a big emphasis on solving for the customer, which is great. And it's a cornerstone of, HubSpot's customer centricity and everything from the way we build the product to the way we engage with customers, et cetera. But oftentimes, what solving for the customer can do for our CSMs is make them feel like they need to answer, the question they just got asked by the customer, or give the customer exactly what they ask for exactly when they ask it. And we lose some of that comfort with asking, well, why are you asking me this question? Like, what are you trying to do? Or how does this solve for your business? Or what business process does it solve for? And customer says, show me how to do X with HubSpot. And we say, cool, solve for the customer. Here's how you do X with HubSpot. Are you happy? And the customer, in fairness, a lot of times be like, yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. But what we're looking to grow and stretch all of the CSMs on the team on is not just doing that. I mean, that's important, that skill set and that knowledge set of the tool, but also helping the customer kind of step back and understand the why behind what they're trying to do. Because A, they may be doing it the wrong way, or they may be thinking about it the wrong way. B, there could be expanded usage that they could be doing. And again, I was talking about trying to drive usage. And C, they could be making short-sighted decisions that in the long term, with a tool like HubSpot, you only have your clean HubSpot portal without a lot of data in it for so long before you can start, like any other CRM or marketing automation tool, like you start putting bad data in there or getting messy with it, and you then are going to need to clean that up later. So these are oftentimes decisions that, the CSMs on our team could be helping customers avoid mistakes in the future if they just ask, one or two more kind of uncomfortable questions around the why and the what business problems to solve, et cetera. So that gap, which I think you see kind of right after the Lego dude with the wand, is the the one on the left or the one closer to the other side of the table with the green tower is just kind of like the easy way of doing it. And then the one closer, if my memory serves, was just like represented like the layered nuance that a CSM can get into in those conversations. But we put a little flag on top because like that was the goal of the call as well.
Yeah, one side they're both green. You could feel like they're both the direction to go to, but it's very easy to kind of miss the fact that there is actually a flag
Yeah.
on that one that and the post-it says, it's hard, but it's a prize. And it's hard for the CSM, but it's where the customer actually gets the most value. And it's hard to say to somebody, like, I'm gonna ask you some tough questions, but ultimately this is gonna make your usage of what you're paying for stronger.
Yep.
And also added benefit when they get off the phone a few days later, they're actually trying to put it into motion. They're going to remember what they were looking to get out of it, as opposed to just the step-by-step tools. So the first pass, with Lego Serious Play is always build where you want to go. We take a backwards planning method. This is that ideal, but you would be leaving bricks on the table. We've got that nice pile over there, which actually accents my point here. If we didn't think through some of the deeper pieces, just like what you're trying to do with your customers, like, but wait a second, what are some of the challenges, the obstacles, the things that we need to be really intentional about?